Most of the time, life lessons happen through something called inactive learning, which means learning by doing. That first heartbreak teaches us about love, renting our first apartment, about independence, and getting into our first fistfight, about what frozen vegetables are really for. On the other hand, when it comes to preparing for a test or learning new skills, we often pick up a book, therefore using vicarious learning, which is about absorbing wisdom through the narratives and experiences of others. But what about engaging with stories in media like video games, specifically in a game as rich as Red Dead Redemption 2? Can we find life lessons that resonate with our own experiences? Here are some of the lessons that this world and its characters have taught me. Lessons that I think can connect with all of us, whether we're navigating the Wild West or the modern world. As humans, we're hardwired to be optimists. It's not just looking at the glass half full. It's our brain's way of keeping us motivated through all the ups and downs in life. We are inclined to expect things to turn out better than they statistically should. For example, even though cancer risk of smoking is high and studied thoroughly, you'll be hard-pressed to find a smoker who doesn't think that they'll be just fine. But why are we like that? This isn't just feel-good fluff. From an evolutionary standpoint, optimism kept our ancestors chugging along through uncertain and dangerous times. Imagine being a caveman and thinking, "Ooga booga, today I will not be eaten." That's the spirit that got us here today, and it hasn't changed much. Instead of imagining that we will not get eaten, nowadays we're always plotting and planning, looking forward to the weekend, dreaming about the next big vacation, or even fretting over the potential problems that haven't even happened and might never happen. It's like our brains are these time-traveling machines, rarely content with just chilling in the now. The future is the carrot, and we are the donkey. I feel like in Red Dead 2, we get a powerful reminder how important it is to live in the moment, even if it is difficult to do so. Arthur goes from living the outlaw life and always looking to the next heist, the next escape, the next big score, to suddenly facing the reality that his tomorrow might not be guaranteed at all.
Okay, now here. Breathe. Again. Yeah. Let me see your tongue. Now say ah. Ah.
What is it?
It's not good news.
I guess that.
You got tuberculosis. I'm really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
This diagnosis of tuberculosis doesn't just slow him down physically, it hammers home the truth we all too often ignore. The future we're so busy planning for may not unfold the way we expect, or may not come at all. Arthur's journey from this point on is not just about coming to terms with his condition, but about learning to appreciate and use the moments he has left, and making the most of these moments to protect those he considers family, so they can be safe even after he is gone. His story becomes a lesson in valuing the present, in making the most of the time we have, not as a resource to be squandered, but as a gift to be cherished. The Latin phrase, memento mori, which translates to remember you must die, is a principle deeply rooted in art and philosophy that reminds us of life's fleeting nature. Throughout history, symbols like skulls and timepieces and paintings have served as reminders of our mortality, urging us to cherish every moment. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, who emphasized the brevity of life, encouraged living vicariously and with purpose, not in fear of death, but in celebration of life. This concept echoes through Arthur Morgan's story in Red Dead Redemption 2. His diagnosis, much like the artistic symbols of Memento Mori, serves as a stark reminder of his mortality, pushing him to reflect on his life and how he wants to spend his remaining days. Through Arthur, Red Dead 2 teaches us that living in the moment isn't just about seizing opportunities, it's about deepening our connections with the world and the people in it. It's a nudge to stop always looking forward to the next big thing, and instead, look around and appreciate where we are and whom we're with. Once we're at the end of our stories, all we will have is memories. And do you want to look back just to see that you spent most of your time working hard, chasing the next promotion, to get more money, to buy the next big thing, or just a series of memories of wasting time doom scrolling TikTok or Instagram? Probably not. I want to look back and see my memories with friends, or moments where I pushed myself to try something new, or simply moments with my family. At least, that's what I took from Arthur's story. To live fully today, embracing the beauty, the pain, the joy, and the sorrow. Because the truth is, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. It's an interesting aspect of human nature, our tendency to drift along currents set by others, especially when making our own choices seem daunting and scary. Much like how a river carves its path with the least resistance, we too can find ourselves following a route not of our own making, but of convenience or comfort. And this isn't a new phenomenon, of course. History is littered with stories of individuals and entire societies that allowed their futures to be dictated by the louder voice, the stronger arm, or the more persuasive argument. Learn helplessness, a psychological condition where individuals believe they have no control over their outcomes after repeated failures. It's a state that not only diminishes one's will to act, but also one's belief in the power of making a change for themselves. This mirrors the journey of Arthur in the Vanderlyn gang. Under Dutch's leadership and cult-like charisma, Arthur finds himself executing plans that are not his own, swept up in escalating violence and chaos, each step further entrenching him in a life chosen for him, not by him.
Now, everyone, put your tools down for a moment. Come on, gather round. Quickly now. I know that things have been tough, but we are safe now, and we are far too poor. So it is time for everyone to get to work.
Get to work, but stay out of trouble. Remember, we are itinerant workers.
Laid off when they shut down our factory to the north. Now get out there and see what you can find. Uncle, Reverend Swanson, no more passengers. It is time for everyone to earn their keep.
There is a town a little way down the track named Valentine. Livestock town, all mud and morons, if I remember right. That seems a decent place to start.
And, we need food. Real food. That means every day. One of you.
And remember, whatever it is that you find, the camp gets its slice. Now be sensible out there.
But as the story unfolds, Arthur faces pivotal moments that challenge the sitting in the back seat. His illness, a stark memento mori, serves as a catalyst for introspection, and ultimately, rebellion against the predetermined path laid before him by Dutch. Instead of dying as the trusty gun at Dutch's hip, he starts to build his own path. This narrative is echoed in the lives of many who awaken to find their strings being pulled by someone else's hands. In literature, we find characters grappling with similar dilemmas, questioning their autonomy and often fighting to reclaim it. Shakespeare's Hamlet deliberates on the nature of fate and free will, caught between his own indecision and the machinations of those around him. Like Arthur, Hamlet's journey is as much about finding his own voice amidst the noise of expectations as it is about avenging his father. Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't just tell us a story about outlaws in the dying days of the American frontier. It holds up a mirror to our own lives, questioning whether we are the driver of our own roads. It asks us to consider if we, like Arthur, have allowed others to chart our course, to make decisions in our stead. And it implores us to take control, to make choices, not out of fear, but with the understanding that our path is ours to shape. Just as Arthur eventually tries to redefine his destiny, we too have the power to steer our lives in the directions of our choosing. Instead of letting the river's current dictate our journey, we can paddle against it, towards our own horizons. This lesson, while simple, is profound. It's a call to action, a reminder that if you don't make decisions for your life, inevitably, someone else will. It might be our family members, close friends, or romantic partners. Through the lens of Arthur's redemption and defiance, we are taught the irreplaceable value of agency in our own existence. The necessity to decide, act, and live, not as passengers, but as pilots of our own fate. In the story of life, every chapter we write tells a part of our journey, the good and the bad. It's tempting to believe we can outrun our past, to move so fast in a new direction that the shadows of old choices can't keep up. But life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And those shadows, they have endurance. As a key figure in the Vanderlyn gang, Arthur's hands aren't clean. His past is a mix of loyalty, love, betrayal, and violence, a reflection of choices made and paths taken. Despite his efforts in the latter part of the game, he can't erase the lives he's affected or the damage done. This realization is a heavy burden, a mirror reflecting a life that can't be undone. Arthur's attempt to seek redemption, to make amends for his actions, mirrors the therapeutic journey of confronting uncomfortable truths about ourselves and striving for personal growth despite of them. The existential philosophy of Jean-Paul Sartre, that existence precedes essence, suggests that Arthur's essence, his true self, is not fixated by his past, but is constantly being recreated through his actions and choices. Sartre's notion that we are condemned to be free, that our choices are ours alone, resonates through Arthur's late realization that his destiny is not bound by the gang's ethos, but by decisions he makes every day.
We lent Arthur some money, you see, and...
So it was you. You son of a bitch. What do you want now? You want my boy's shoes? You want the food out of our bellies, what little there is? You want me to lie down for you?
No.
Arthur gave everything to pay your bills. Everything. And now there's some fellas coming to take the house.
I just wanted to say the debt's canceled and here, take this. It won't bring your husband back, I know. You need money and I don't.
Well, you're a good man. I just wish you'd done it before he worked himself into the grave. But you know, maybe you and your friend that lent him the money could do things differently. Like, not threaten a man. Excuse me.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I really am.
Historically, figures like Malcolm X demonstrate the real-life application of this lesson. Once a criminal, he transformed his life through self-education and advocacy, illustrating that one's future is not permanently tied to their past. Malcolm X's journey from a troubled youth to a leading figure in civil rights movement embodies the potential for change, regardless of one's beginnings. Red Dead Redemption 2, through Arthur's narrative, challenges players to confront the theme of redemption head-on. It's not just about accepting the past, but actively choosing a different path forward. This lesson resonates deeply, reminding us that while our past actions contribute to our story, they don't have to dictate the ending. We can decide what will be the ending. Arthur's quest for redemption, set against the backdrop of changing American landscape, becomes a powerful narrative about personal accountability and transformation. It encourages us to reflect on our own lives, to acknowledge our past, learn from it, and make conscious decisions to live differently. In the end, Arthur's journey is not just a story from the dying days of the Wild West. It's a mirror reflecting a timeless human truth, that we are all capable of change. It's a call to embrace our agency, to write our stories not with the ink of past regrets, but with the pen of present choices and future possibilities. Therefore, Red Dead 2 does more than tell a story. It offers a lesson in living. It reminds us that while the past is immutable, the future is ours to shape. Through Arthur's eyes, we learn that redemption is not just a narrative arc, but a personal journey that starts with acceptance and leads to deliberate crafting of a new path, one decision at a time. Have you ever stopped to consider how much of who you are is shaped by the country you live in, the culture that surrounds you, and the groups you associate with? Maybe you prefer vibrant, bustling marketplaces over quiet, orderly stores because you grew up in the heart of Mexico City, where lively mercados are the soul of the community. Or perhaps your sense of humor mirrors the sitcoms you binged in your teenage years. For example, I grew up in the suburbs, which resulted in my preference for nature over city life, and when I migrated to Denmark as a young adult, I picked up the Danish concept of hygge, a sense of coziness and well-being found in simple moments, and made it a part of my life as well. Our identities are often intertwined with these external factors, subtly weaving their influence into the fabric of our being. This phenomenon, explored through social identity theory, suggests our self-perception is significantly molded by our affiliations, from the sports teams we root for to the companies we work at. In Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur's evolving relationship with the Vanderlyn gang provides a vivid illustration of this concept. Initially, his identity is deeply anchored in the gang, their shared values, and their collective mission. However, as the story progresses and Arthur begins to question the gang's motives and decisions, we witness a profound transformation. His divergence from the gang's ideals leads to isolation, but also personal growth, reflecting the hard truth that growth sometimes means leaving others behind.
You brought him back to me!
We told you we would.
John! What are you doing here?
It's good to see you too, partner.
I meant I hadn't sent for you yet.
I went.
But I said that.
Yeah, I know what you said. I felt different.
Is that so?
Yes.
And when Spring and John brings the law down on all of us, what then, Arthur?
Well, I guess we'll have another fight on our hands.
Loyalty, Arthur, it ain't. I had a goddamn plan!
This journey of personal evolution is reminiscent of Odysseus' return home in Homer's Odyssey. Just as Odysseus finds that both he and Ithaca have changed, Arthur realizes that his growth has rendered him fundamentally different from the gang he once considered family. The world around him and the people within it no longer align with the man he has become. Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher, famously said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." This sentiment beautifully encapsulates Arthur's experience. As he navigates the changing landscape of America, he changes as well, illustrating the inevitability of personal transformation. Arthur's struggle is a powerful narrative about conflict between loyalty and personal ideals, highlighting a pivotal aspect of human nature, the quest for identity. Like Arthur, we all undergo moments of profound self-discovery, where we must decide whether to remain in the comfort of familiarity or to embrace the growth that comes with change. Through Arthur, Red Dead 2 teaches us that our journeys are not just about the destinations we aim for, but about the personal transformations we undergo along the way. It's a reminder that as we grow, our relationships, affiliations, and even our identities may evolve, leading us to new horizons that were once unimaginable. And sometimes it means that some relationships or friendships have to come to an end. It's natural to outgrow certain aspects of our identity, including friends and family sometimes. It doesn't diminish the love or respect we have for them. It simply means we are on our own path that we have to be true to. And like Arthur, we must embrace this journey, for it shapes us into the individuals we're meant to become, teaching us that while change may be the only constant, growth is the gift that comes along with it, as long as you take the chance on yourself. In the hustle of daily life, with its constant demands and endless distractions, it's all too easy to lose ourselves in the noise and to forget the value of silence and solitude. Yet, within the silent spaces we dare to carve out for ourselves lies a profound opportunity for growth and understanding. And this is the truth for Arthur Morgan as well. Whether he's going through the wilderness or simply sitting by the campfire under the expansive night sky, Arthur's moments of solitude are as vital as they are enlightening. In these silent moments, Arthur turns to journaling, a practice steeped in therapeutic value. Writing offers him a pathway to untangle his thoughts, confront his emotions, and navigate the complexities of his inner world. It also shows his hesitations to dig deeper with certain thoughts regarding the current situation in the gang, or his observation of Dutch, which could be interpreted as a fear of what he might uncover by digging deeper. Arthur's quest for solitude isn't merely a personal preference, but a reflection of a deeper, almost universal human need. It brings to mind the real-life adventure of Christopher McCandless, whose story, beautifully captured in the movie Into the Wild, celebrates the transformative power of solitude in nature, as it can provide a teacher, a confidant, and a canvas upon which he can better understand himself and his place in the world.
My lord, what a goddamn mess. Everything. Not sure what happens next. Whole thing has been hard on all of us. Most of all on Dutch, who seems half crazed by all we've gone through.
This moment isn't just a pause in the gameplay, it's an invitation. Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't merely allow for solitude, it champions it as a mechanism for a deeper connection, not with others, but with yourself. It provides with hours we end up spending away from the missions or the main storyline, just hunting, camping, and enjoying the magnificent scenery. It reminds us that in the quiet, we can find clarity, peace, and perhaps even answers to the questions we've been afraid to ask. It allows us to find a moment for ourselves, even though we're still in a virtual world. Arthur's story is a reminder of the importance of carving out these moments for solitude in our own lives. It urges us to find our own version of the campfire in the wild, a place where we can retreat from the world's demands and reflect on our personal journey. Just as Arthur discovers, sometimes the most profound growth and understanding come from the moments we spend alone, in nature, with our thoughts. I have already talked at length about the magic of being alone in the world of Red Dead 2 in one of my previous videos, so let me just leave off on this. Seek out your own space of solitude, be it in the heart of a forest, a quiet early morning, or the silence of late night. In those moments, we're not just finding peace, we're rediscovering ourselves, learning anew what it means to live fully, deeply, and with intention. In life, we don't get to choose our family. We're randomly put into our first families, and those connections are bound by blood. We don't get a say in terms of how much love, care, or guidance we'll receive from our parents or siblings. We might even get none of it. But there's another kind of family that many of us come to know and cherish deeply. One formed not by genetics, but by choice. Our second family is something we don't get randomly without any choice. This is the family we build from friendships, shared experiences, and mutual respect. It's a concept as old as humanity itself, yet it finds new resonance in the digital age where communities can form across vast distances. Consider the stories of countless individuals who have found solace, understanding, and support in their chosen families. These are the people who step in, not out of obligation, but because they choose to care. From historical examples of literally circles and artist collectives to modern examples of online communities rallying to support one another, the value of a chosen family is immeasurable. They remind us that family is not just a biological construct, but an emotional one. In the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur's life is a testament to the power of chosen family. The Vanderlyn gang, with all its flaws and complexities, serves as his family by choice. Together they share not only the spoils of their heists, but their hopes, fears, and dreams. It's in this band of outlaws that Arthur finds belonging, loyalty, and understanding. Proof that family is as much about shared values and mutual care as it is about blood relations.
When I was just a lad, you know, I met a gal from old Bordeaux. She had blonde hair and blue eyes too. She let me ride on the ring-dang-doo. And the ring-dang-doo, now what is that?
Such moments aren't mere pauses in the game. They are the heartbeats of a story that is as much about ties that bind us as it is about adventures that await. They highlight an essential truth. Our chosen families can become our greatest strength. They are the ones who stand by us, not out of duty, but out of shared bond that is as strong or even stronger than those formed by blood. The significance of this lesson extends beyond the narrative of the game. It resonates in the reality of our lives, reminding us to cherish and nurture the connections we choose to make. In a world that often feels isolating, the families we create for ourselves provide a sense of belonging, love, and support that can carry us through the toughest times. Though we may not choose where we come from, we have the power to choose who we call family. In the early 19th century, a group known as Luddites became a symbol of the struggle against the unstoppable march of progress and technological innovation. Named after the possibly mythical figure Ned Ludd, these English workers took up arms not against flesh and blood, but against machines. They smashed textile machinery that they believed threatened their jobs, embodying a desperate attempt to halt the advance of the Industrial Revolution that was reshaping their world in ways they felt powerless to control. This historical episode serves as a reminder that the tide of change, especially when driven by technological progress, can seem both inescapable and impersonal. It highlights a fundamental human truth: our innate resistance to change, a resistance rooted in the fear of the unknown and the loss of the familiar. Like the Luddites, Dutch sees the world he knows being completely consumed by the encroaching forces of civilization and order. Despite his charismatic leadership and his gang's fierce loyalty, his fight against the tide of change is marked by a growing sense of futility. Dutch's struggle is never against the Pinkertons or the rival gangs. It's against the march of time itself, against the transformation of the American West from a wild, lawless frontier into a civilized, regulated society.
And to what do we owe the pleasure, Agent Moron?
I don't know if you're aware, but this is a civilized land now. We didn't kill all them savages only to allow the likes of you to act like human dignity, and basic decency was outmoded or not yet invented. This thing, it's done.
This place ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man. So in love with greed, he has forgotten himself and found only appetites.
And as a consequence, that lets you take what you please, kill whom you please, and hang the rest of us? Who made you the messiah to these lost souls you've led so horribly astray?
I'm nothing but a seeker, Mr. Milton.
You ain't much of anything more than a killer, Mr. Vanderlind.
But why do we resist change? Psychologically, resistance to change is a defense mechanism, safeguarding our sense of identity and security in a world that never stops evolving. It's rooted in the fear of losing what we know and stepping into the uncertainty of what we don't know. This resistance is as much a part of human nature as our ability to adapt and evolve. Yet, as Dutch's story illustrates, when resistance becomes denial, it can lead us down a path of destruction, both internally and towards those around us. In George Orwell's 1984, we see a grim picture of change morph into a tool for oppression, echoing Dutch's futile resistance against the encroachment of civilization. Both narratives, though set in vastly different contexts, delve into the hearts of human struggle against the march of time and societal evolution. While change is inevitable, the manner in which we confront it can either uphold our deepest values or lead us into self-destruction. This juxtaposition highlights the delicate balance between adapting to change and preserving our core principles in the face of progress. Whether personal or societal, the story of Dutch Vanderlind and the Luddites teaches us valuable lessons. It shows us that while we cannot stop the march of progress, we have the choice to adapt, to learn, and to grow from the changes we encounter. This doesn't mean surrendering to every wave of change without thinking, but rather engaging with it thoughtfully, preserving what values we can, while opening ourselves to new possibilities and horizons. Are we clinging to the past like Dutch, fighting a losing battle against the inevitable? Or are we stepping into the river of change, ready to navigate its currents with resilience and openness wherever it may lead us to? In the end, the inevitability of change is not a sentence to obsolescence, but a call to evolution. It challenges us to question, to adapt, and ultimately to thrive in the endless flux that defines our world. In the face of change, our greatest strength lies not in resistance, but in our capacity to grow. In our day-to-day lives, we often cast ourselves as the main actors in the unfolding movie of our existence, with everyone else in supporting roles. A perspective best explained by Chris D'Elia in his special Man on Fire. Get through our days underneath the impression that the world revolves around our storyline. Just think about if you have ever looked at strangers that sit across from you in a train or walk past you on the street and realized that they have just as many feelings, dreams, and challenges as you do. This notion is unraveled by the narratives we experience. Stories like that of Arthur in Red Dead 2, where he, despite being a crucial character within his universe, ultimately faces a truth we all must confront. The world moves on without us. His life is full of action, moral dilemmas, and a quest for redemption, painting him as a figure of significant importance. However, his story also shows the individual insignificance in the grand scheme of things. The game, rich with its characters and stories, does not end with Arthur. Life continues after his story ends, the world keeps evolving, and Dutch continues his fight against the change of times. The epilogue of the game is the ultimate demonstration of how, despite our contributions, the world's narrative persists, indifferent to our absence, and Arthur is just one of many who were there at some point.
Arthur saved my life before he passed. I don't talk about him much, but I think about him.
Me too.
This theme echoes in the perspective provided by the cosmic calendar that compresses the universe's history into a single year where just 1 minute equals 26,000 years. Humanity's entire recorded history occupies just the final seconds of December 31st, at the very end of this year, illustrating our fleeting presence in the cosmos. This perspective is not meant to diminish our achievements or existence, but to place them within the ridiculously massive timeline of the universe, reminding us of our small part in a much, much larger story. When I was younger and I was unsure what to do in my life, I listened a lot to lectures of this English writer and speaker called Alan Watts. During one of his speeches, he also touched on this aspect of our insignificance in the grand scheme of things. But instead of seeing our insignificance as a nihilistic dead end, his perspective was that we can view it as a liberation from the ego's constraints. He encouraged us to see ourselves not as isolated beings, but as integral components of the universe's continuous dance. Our individual stories, while seemingly inconsequential against the backdrop of infinity, contribute to the universe's complexity and beauty. Find joy and meaning in our experiences and connections. Understanding our role is a part of a larger, ever-changing universe. With the narrative of Red Dead 2, we are offered a bucket full of thought on existence, significance, and the beauty of living in the moment. Arthur Morgan's journey, underscored by the philosophical underpinnings of existentialism, challenges us to reflect on our place within the universe and to appreciate the value of our experiences, no matter how small they may seem. When you go into a casino, you see gamblers, wrapped in the grip of the game, eyes sparkling with the belief that they can sway the odds in their favor through different rituals, lucky items, or even the way they throw the dice. This phenomenon isn't limited to gambling floor. It's a distilled example of a broader human tendency to overestimate our influence over events largely governed by chance. This belief, deeply ingrained in our psyche, is what psychologists term the illusion of control. The concept of locus of control dives deeper into the psyche. It explores the degree to which individuals believe they have power over the events in their lives. Those with an internal locus of control see themselves as captains of their fate, confident in their ability to steer the ship regardless of sea state. Conversely, an external locus of control leaves individuals feeling adrift at the mercy of life's unpredictable currents. For example, when given a promotion, someone with an internal locus of control will think that the promotion was entirely deserved strictly for their hard work with the company. However, if they are denied a promotion, they will blame themselves and take the news harder than anybody else. On the other hand, someone with an external locus of control would receiving a promotion as a stroke of luck or the result of timing, rather than a direct result of their actions. Similarly, if they don't get the promotion, they're more likely to blame external factors, such as office politics or economic downturns, rather than any personal shortcomings. Red Dead Redemption 2 tells this psychological narrative through Dutch. His mantra, "I have a plan," becomes a chorus line for the illusion of control. Despite the chaos unfolding around him and the gang, Dutch clings to the belief that through sheer will and strategic maneuvers, he can outsmart the forces of law and change. But the game's unfolding events illustrate a counterpoint. The external world, with its indifferent march towards progress, pays no heed to one man's determination.
We need to go.
You ran away.
Oh, I did no such thing. Don't be a fool. They could be back here any minute. We did it, gentlemen. Well, we got some money. And with the train job, well, we got a whole lot of money. Come on. Everything is coming together. Exactly as I planned.
Accepting uncertainty is a liberating counterbalance to disillusion. It's not about relinquishing all attempts at control, but recognizing the boundaries of our influence. This acceptance does not come naturally. It's a muscle that requires conscious exercise. It's about finding peace in the unpredictability of life, making informed choices with the understanding that some outcomes remain beyond our reach. Life is as much about I can do it as it is about I don't give a fuck. Stoics like Epictetus advised focusing on our efforts and attitudes, elements within our realm of control, while adopting a stance of calmness towards everything else. This philosophy does not advocate being passive, but rather an active engagement with what we can change and a graceful acceptance of what we cannot. In the narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2, we navigate this delicate balance between action and acceptance. Dutch's unraveling serves as a cautionary tale, while the broader journey of Arthur Morgan and the gang encapsulates this stoic ideal, striving with all one's strength while understanding the limits of that control. Reassess your own locus of control. Reflect on the serenity found in recognizing the vastness of the universe and our modest place within it. Strive not for foolhardy dominion over the external factors, but for mastery over ourselves, finding freedom in the truth that ultimately we control only our actions, reactions, and perspectives. This is the true control we can exert, the control rooted not in the illusion of bending the world to our will, but in the strength of navigating with insight, resilience, and grace. The ancient Greeks had a nuanced understanding of love, categorizing it in various forms such as agape, unconditional love, eros, romantic love, and philia, deep friendship. These distinctions underscore the belief that love's presence in our lives is multifaceted, enriching our human experience in multiple ways. Moving forward in time, psychologist Carl Rogers introduced the concept of unconditional positive regard, a modern reflection of agape. This principle says that accepting and loving others without conditions forms the bedrock of personal growth and healthy relationships. In the realm of unconditional positive regard, love is seen as a dynamic force that fosters acceptance, understanding, and the realization of each person's potential. A silly example could be how you could tell a child that they're still a good person even if they misbehave. Or in the case of Arthur Morgan, despite being a killer and someone who destroyed countless lives, he still possesses the capacity for profound goodness. His relationships and actions, underpinned by the care and loyalty he shows to those he values, embody the essence of unconditional positive regard, highlighting his ability to transcend his past through acts of love and redemption.
I'm dying, sister.
Okay?
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. I've lived a bad life, sister.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
What do you mean?
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. And it weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I.
Huh?
But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
All aboard!
Red Dead Redemption 2 mirrors these timeless concepts of love through Arthur's journey. His relationships, especially his bond with John Marston and his relationship with Mary Linton, exemplify how love persists through adversity, shaping decisions and personal evolution. His story vividly illustrates that taking a chance on love, though often fraught with vulnerability, is a leap worth taking. As Arthur's tale unfolds, we see love acting both as anchor and compass, guiding him through the chaos of his outlaw life, or what's left of it. It's in his moments of reflection, his acts of sacrifice for those he cares about, and his struggles with personal demons that the game reveals love's enduring power. Despite the harsh backdrop of the dying West, these relationships provide moments of solace, connection, and a glimpse into the transformative power of love. Love, as built over time and through shared experiences, is not a static entity but a living, evolving force. It's the small, everyday acts of kindness and understanding, as much as the grand gestures, that weave the fabric of deep, enduring bonds. This is the love that sustains and uplifts, that teaches us resilience in the face of hardship and joy in the simplicity of being together. To quote Stoic philosopher Seneca, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Love, in its many forms, is not just an ideal to aspire to, but a lived reality that shapes our existence, driving us towards connection, growth, and the realization of our shared humanity. Love exists, always. It's calling us to embrace it in all forms, to nurture it with care, and to celebrate the profound impact it has on our journey. In this very moment, you have the ability to express love, be it by calling your parents if you haven't talked in a while, spending time with a friend, or simply helping a stranger. You have that power to make another person smile, to make them feel love. And isn't that a beautiful thing?